Welcome to the Passport Podcast, your audio ticket to sport around the world. This is the first episode, and I'm thrilled to welcome Kendall, Currence, and Princess Adeogun as the first guests. Princess and Kendall are basketball players from the UK and USA respectively, and were most recently teammates on the Newcastle Eagles, who compete in the Super League basketball competition in the UK. Both Princess and Kendall share some insights into their basketball journeys, their upbringings, playing for the Eagles, and more. Of course, there's plenty of inspiration, and I hope you'll be just as inspired as I am. There's a lot happening for both of them on and off the court, and I can't wait for you to hear what they have to say. So, let's go. This is the Passport Podcast with Princess and Kendall. Welcome to the Passport Podcast. This is the first ever episode, and I am very excited to have Kendall and Princess on. So, welcome you two.
Thank you for having us.
Just thinking about getting to know you, where you are from, and when you started playing basketball.
Princess can go first.
I grew up in Manchester, born in Ireland. I started playing basketball when I was 13 years old, I want to say. Started playing with boys. And then, kind of just kept going from there, I guess.
I grew up in Massachusetts on Cape Cod, small little town. Started playing when I was literally like 4 years old, so literally have been playing 21 years, which is weird to say.
Wow. So you both at it from early on, and we're seeing now more and more girls starting young and everything, and you know, where you're looking, I think depending on, and from what the people I've spoken to and what I've seen is the access to it depending on where you are and the opportunities that are given certainly play a factor. But then also, I'm a firm believer that if you've got people like yourselves who can watch you and aspire to be maybe in a similar position, that's also equally important. So were there people growing up in your lives that you looked up to?
Yeah, I mean, I continued playing because of my brother. So we all played basketball at some point, but my brother Sam, he went to the States, he got scholarships, went to college, and I think I kind of tried to, get in his footsteps. I really looked up to him, I still do really look up to him. I think that with what he achieved and what he did, he was the first person I actually saw go as far as he did. So I'd say he was definitely a big role model for me, inspiration for me. And then in terms of the women's side, I guess Nicolette, she's now Nicolette Fairley. Watching her as well, she was a big inspiration for me, especially because we're both on the shorter end, 5'5". And just seeing, how she was able to sort of get through that, how she was able to still be one of the better players despite, being vertically challenged. So I'd say those were the two bigger sort of inspirations for me sort of growing up.
So similar to what Princess said about her brother, like my whole family, it's a basketball family. So even if I didn't play from a young age, I'd definitely be in it at some point or the other. My inspiration, just my family, and then obviously as I grew older, I have younger siblings, so motivation to continue to try and inspire them and other people that come after them. Short and sweet.
Family is a common connection for both of you, which is lovely to hear. And so, you're talking about looking up to them and then inspiring those that are your siblings that are coming after you in some cases. Kind of what some of those values did you learn growing up that you look to embody now as you carry on your athletic careers?
So, with my sort of upbringing, I guess, lower socioeconomic background, we were sort of taught, to try your hardest in everything that you do. One thing that my brother said to me that always stuck with me was, when you have a goal, just because you haven't achieved it in that moment, it doesn't mean you failed. Because at the end of the day, you still made steps towards that. Yes, you may not have gotten to the end point, but you didn't fail because you simply because you tried, but also because you made small steps to get to that point, right? So I think that's definitely one big thing for me that I've tried to sort of carry on, whether that's in like my personal life, work life, basketball.
For me, I guess just well, I was the only one in my family to have like cleft lip and palate or like a birth defect and stuff like that. So I guess growing up for me, I was always just pushed to also do the best that you can do in life, period, even outside of basketball. But also I'd say like just the theme of like dealing with the cards that you're dealt, they can always change. You're in control of your story and what you do and your reaction to things, and if you reach your goal or not. So I guess again, kind of similar to what she said. Like, you're not a failure just because you haven't reached something yet. But I mean, it's on you to continue to do what you want to do, whether that's talking about basketball or just in life in general.
There's just some bars right there from both of you. And thanks for sharing that. I think especially when you're younger, it might not be right in front of you. It's like, oh, I can't do it. Actually, yes, you can. I think playing the hand that you're dealt, really, as you mentioned, Kendall, but then also, like you said, Princess, drops in the bucket. And it's the little 1% that can add up to the big goal, even though we don't see it right away. And so those are powerful stories. I just wanted to quickly branch off, Kendall. You mentioned your birth defect. And as somebody, I read up on your website, you talked about your heart. And as somebody who is a fellow heart girly, I wanted to say thank you for sharing your story. And you've been saying that you've been open and you've been, inspiring kids and just sharing more about that. And so as a result, named the 2022 USBWA Pat Summit Most Courageous Award winner. What does that mean to you? Yes, snaps all around.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I remember when I got that award, it was like after practice and we were headed into like playoffs, and I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, okay, courageous award for what? Because sometimes it's almost like I forget that part of me, because I mean, I live a normal life just like everyone else, and that's what makes me so grateful, because not a lot of kids with a heart defect and the cleft lip and palate go on to be able to do the stuff that I've been able to do. So it meant the world to me, especially to give my speech at the Final Four. I think it was in Minnesota. And then I'm also grateful for also continuing to share my story. Since I've been home too, I've been doing a lot of talks with youth basketball players and going into schools and stuff like that, and just letting them know, like, no matter what your situation is, you can aspire to be whatever you want in life, and just trying to give them a little inspiration along the way. But yeah, it meant everything to me.
That's amazing. Again, all the snaps for you, because to have that representation from no matter who you are, just to see somebody like yourself step into that. Like you said, it doesn't mean that just because you might have something a little bit different. I remember something that my mom told me early on is you have a special heart, but it doesn't define who you are. And there is some circumstances where they can't live a normal life, but try and find the things that make you happy and live your life to the fullest. And it's really cool to see someone like yourself doing that. Shifting over to you, Princess. You said you were born in Ireland. From what I've read, you represented the under-20 national team for Ireland. So amazing, representing your country. Again, snaps for that. How did that come about, and describe what playing for your country feels like?
It was definitely an interesting experience, to say the very least. It was an honor being able to represent my country, especially at that point, at that stage. It was definitely, I guess, a teaching moment for me, just in terms of getting an idea of my game, and then being able to see how everyone else is, across Europe, or well, across the country as well. I think that really opened my eyes to what it really meant to play basketball and to represent your country, and that was huge for me. I think that was a really pivotal moment for me. And yeah, I think about it sometimes, and it's like, I'm really grateful for that experience and that opportunity, because like I say, it was definitely a pivotal moment for me.
Absolutely, it is. Just seeing the pride and everything, when you get that jersey, you're playing for the name on the front, not just your name on the back. Saying this today as well with learning different styles, and because ultimately international basketball is a different beast, and you got to kind of work up and gel into that, and so that's a whole new skill set of its own. So bringing what you have in those qualities, because you were selected for a reason. And so to prepare you for that, you've played around the UK, so you've been a staple in British basketball, and you've really been able to, experience that in different teams. So you can just kind of talk us through those teams that you've been on since.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, grew up in Manchester, so started playing for Manchester Mystics, and then went off to university where I did my undergrad, and that was at Loughborough University. And then after that, went to Essex University, did my master's there, came back to Manchester, played WBBL for a year, and now I'm in Newcastle. And I've been in Newcastle now for, oh wow, this is year 2. Yeah, I have kind of, and I did a stint at Solent as well at one point. When I think about it and put it into perspective, I actually have bounced around a bit. But again, like, I think with me playing on so many different teams under different coaching staff, again, I think that's really allowed me to gain different perspectives on the game. And it also allowed me to grow as a player as well as a person. So again, like, really grateful for my experiences at those different institutions and those different clubs. And yeah, it's definitely sort of led to who I am today and where I'm at right now.
Definitely, and just thinking about, whatever teams you go on, you're going to be learning and absorbing those experiences, and like you said, different coaching staffs and teammates, and so you've been able to compile all of that in your career so far. And so you were also studying when you're doing that. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, I was doing my undergraduate degree at Loughborough in sport and exercise psychology, and then Essex sport and exercise psychology, but that was a master's. And then with me being in Newcastle now, I'm training to be a cognitive behavioral therapist. So my course finishes in September. So yeah, collecting degrees like infinity stones apparently, but yeah, we're here.
That's brilliant. And Kendall, we'll get to this in a second, but talking college basketball in the U.S., those demands are high, and whatever level you're playing at, because at the end of the day, you're juggling school, and you have these goals to think about outside of the gym, and that is an incredibly important job. And I'm sure you're not thanked enough for it, but well done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Love an educated woman.
We do love an educated woman. All right, so then I think that gives way nicely. So Kendall played at Northeastern and then on to Temple. And so the college recruitment process, for those maybe who are listening who aren't familiar with it in the U.S., everybody's journey is a bit different. I'm going to say it like that from what I've heard. Yeah, can you just talk us through that and how you decided on Northeastern and some of those things that you were thinking about in the lead up?
So somebody had just asked me this question yesterday, actually, and they had asked, like, was Northeastern always the school I wanted to go to? And I was like, oh no. Like, it was definitely not even on my list of schools, but I am happy that I did my 4 years there. It was amazing. Had so many great teammates, so many great memories, and of course, basketball there was amazing. But so yeah, I feel like I started getting recruited in about 8th grade. I was probably 13, headed on to 14 in high school. Went the whole journey with that, traveling all across the states, just trying to get seen, like a lot of people do, playing AAU. And then I also, like, my parents brought it to my attention more than I did, of course, because when you were a kid, you just care about basketball, you don't really care about school. And they were like, well, think about when the ball stops bouncing, where do you want your education to be from? So Northeastern is one of, like, the top schools in Boston, and of course they're D1, so I was like, all right, I love the coaching staff, I love the girls that I was coming into play with, so that's why I went there. And then COVID happened, so they gave us an extra free year, like, by the NCAA, so that was the reason why I transferred to Temple. That also wasn't my original choice, but during the time I was in the transfer portal, I tore my ACL, and they were still willing to give me a free scholarship, full ride, and I was like, well, I have to take it because that's also a free master's degree. So sat out that first year and then came back the second year and played, and then yeah, ended up in England after that. So I was very, very blessed and lucky to be able to get 2 degrees as well.
Wow, certainly a lot there. And from Elizabeth, you still did, despite early in university that happened, because that happens in sports. But And the resilience that you both have shown is admirable, and it has led you to this past season in Newcastle. And so, to the extent that you can, just kind of talk us through, Kendall, how did you end up in Super League basketball?
Well, a lot of people kind of just get an agent after college. And I was just talking with him, and I actually kind of found out pretty late. Like, I feel like people find out maybe around this time. I think I found out like the beginning of August. He was just like, "Do you want to go to England?" And I was like, "Where?" Only place any American really knows in England is London. So I'm like, "Oh," going there. And he was like, "Oh, this city called Newcastle." I'm like, have no idea what that is, but take a chance. And I'm so happy I took that chance. I had an amazing year, had some amazing teammates, amazing memories. It was better than I could ever ask for.
It's for both of you. Just your perspectives on the team chemistry, but from what I guess from what the fans see is that it was just incredible. And so yeah, like it looked like you guys were always having fun.
Yeah, usually.
And so just
Always
kind
laughing.
of always laughing. So just kind of reflecting on that time, there was also the coaching change in about November, I believe, and so then that saw one of your teammates actually become your coach, and you guys ended up going all the way to the Final Four, which was incredible. And so, yeah, just kind of reflections on the season and kind of how you guys felt and as it progressed.
I think in the beginning, I honestly just forgot until you just said about the coaching change. I literally forgot that happened for a second. So in the beginning, I feel like everyone was learning each other, and it was, I mean, I wasn't obviously there last year, but for me, a new team, and trying to learn everyone on and off the court. And I think as the season progressed, we did have a little bit more chemistry, especially when you're winning. Like, winning is fun. Of course, that's a great time. But yeah, I thought the season went really great, and obviously we had a lot of adversity. We even went through a whole drought of no games for like 3 weeks straight, and it felt like it was going to go on forever. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, definitely some adversity there, which was really difficult to navigate. But yeah, as Kendall said, got through it, got out there in the end. Of course, it was unfortunate the way the season ended, but I think sort of thinking about what the team and what the club achieved in this time is, is great. Like, it's amazing, right? Especially despite the adversity that we experienced at the beginning and then obviously like throughout the season. And I know all teams have some sort of difficulties, some sort of challenges, and I think it's about how you respond to that and how you move forward through that. And I think that for us, for the most part, we did try to respond as best as we can and move and get through the challenges as best as we could.
I noticed from looking from the schedule, it did seem like there was a bit of a drought on some of the games, which was unfortunate because, just saying anything from a fan perspective, and someone who enjoys and tries to champion the game, it's tough when people want to see their team and they want to see you guys and you guys want to play as athletes, but it's not there, and things aren't lining up. But there goes that resilience again. You bounce back. And I had spoke to another one of your teammates a while ago, and she was talking about just kind of how, everybody's done something really great on the team, and that looks different for different people, but just seeing as toward the end what that looked like, and everybody just flourished. Because you got multiple people, the honorable mentions and the awards every week. So you see, yourself, Kendall, Jada, Tiara, the list to go on to see who was in there. I think that just really does speak to the level of what you guys have been able to come together. And so off of that, wanted to jump off. There's the topic of confidence. It's a big part of sport and a lot in basketball, but it can be a bit of a finicky thing at times. And so wondering just kind of how do you two keep that confidence and keep it going, and but then also bounce back when things maybe don't go as planned?
Do you want to go first, Kendall?
Sure. As far as confidence, I mean, it is a hard thing. I feel like a lot of players and people in general doubt themselves because they know they can be better, or when stuff goes wrong, they think they should be perfect. I've dealt with a confidence thing after transferring to Temple, especially with different playing time and minutes and all that stuff. And sometimes that can really mess with your head. So I'd say it's just like important to try the best you can to stick to yourself, and that's not an easy thing to do at all. I mean, both of us have been playing a long time, so I'm sure Princess can say the same thing. It's such a mental game, basketball. So I would just say you've got to find stuff that makes you feel good. But yeah, if that sums it up.
Yeah, I think confidence is a tricky thing. It's, again, similar to Kendall, definitely something that I've struggled with for a lot of my career for varying reasons, whether it's like injuries, if it's uncertainty, whatever it may be. And one thing that I've definitely found to be really important is just like being present and being in the moment, rather than trying to worry too much about the future or ruminate on the past. It's about being in the present moment. What can I do right now? What's working for me in this moment? How can I contribute to my team? How can I show my best self right now? And I think that's definitely one thing that I try to focus on and try to lock in on. And that's, again, just one thing that I think is really important to try and consider. When you have a team or a group of people around you who also help you feed into your confidence, that's also huge. And even just like the little things, positive touches, that's a huge thing, and that can help with boosting your confidence and making you feel more sure of yourself. Yeah.
Those two great responses. And again, see very much the thing coming back of anything you can do and do your best at is a drop in the bucket. And that can go back toward building up maybe any confidence that might be, taking a twist and a turn along the way, because that's bound to happen. Nobody's going to be perfect. So you both have played great careers so far. So more to do, and hopefully get to see you for many more years. But just thinking about your goals, you achieved a lot this past season. Moving forward, what are you hoping to achieve?
I'm getting old. I'm old. No, I'm playing. I am getting on. No, honestly, I think at this point, it's kind of hard for me to really think about basketball in the longer term right now, just because of the intensity of my course. I'm at a really difficult time right now with my course and trying to make sure I get things done. So honestly, I just want to get through this course, be a qualified psychotherapist, and then of course, in the meantime, get on court as much as I can, and try to fine tune my game, try to be more confident in, because I sustained an injury. That's chronic injury. I dislocate my shoulder quite often. Dislocated it a while ago actually, and I'm still trying to, I guess, be more confident in that and trust in the rehab I've done, trust in the strength of my shoulder. So I think just in terms of like the shorter term, trying to get on court as much as I can, keep it on top of my rehab, trying to put myself in situations where I can trust and be confident in the work that I'm doing with my shoulder, and making sure it's strong. And I feel like things will probably fall into place from there. And again, I guess this kind of goes back to what I said earlier about trying to just focus on the present rather than borrowing worries from the future or ruminating on the past, So that's sort of my goal, I suppose.
For me, continuing to play basketball, I've got a couple different countries offered, so I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go in the fall. Other than that, try to stay as healthy as I can be. Obviously, I was out maybe 2 or 3 games. I had hurt my hip, then I had to hurt my shoulder, so trying my best to not be hurt. But yeah, just seeing where else I'm going to go and trying to play as long as I can.
Amazing from both of you. It just really speaks to the importance of being able to think just not only short term, like you said, Princess, but long term, and doing what's best for you. And I think what's so great is one of the great things about both of you is that your endeavors off the court have also been really shining, and you're grinding to get that too, and success there as well. And success in basketball can look differently for everyone. When one of the goals of this podcast, but then also the wider work I try and do, is just build the different pathways, because a lot of people say WNBA, high-level EuroLeague is some of your only options. It's not. It is a great goal to have, but it's okay to do other things as well, and those other things are just as amazing. Seeing what we see in mainstream media. I did want to ask you, Kendall, about your brand. Just seeing that you had some merch and some other things that are going around. you want to talk a little bit about your vision for it and just the impact that you're hoping to have, and how can people support?
Okay. Well, I have a clothing brand called the KC1 Collective. That one, it originally was the name, image, and likeness thing came about in college, and then like obviously with different deals, I wasn't getting like the percentage that I wanted, so I was like, let me just start my own clothing brand so friends and family can just support my own thing. And then a couple months ago, when I was still in England, I was like, I kind of want to take it into a different direction of kind of like an everyday clothing brand. So in a couple weeks, I'm dropping sunglasses, which are cool. So yeah, just kind of trying to make a lifestyle brand. And then my other like brand is I hold basketball clinics and I talk to people. Back where I'm from Cape Cod. It's just called Kendall Currence Basketball Clinics. And it is turning into a nonprofit, so I can just do more things in the long run, host events and different type of stuff for the youth. Because there's not that many resources where I'm from. It's just a small island. If you want to get looks for basketball and other sports, you need to go to the city, which is an hour and a half away for some people. How to support, you can follow me on Instagram at KC1 Collective or KC1 Basketball Clinics. And like usually everything is on my personal Instagram. If you just tap the link in my bio, it gives you everything that I have.
You heard Kendall. Go and tap those links. And then I'll link those in the show notes as well so people can go. So keeping in line with this last question, on the theme of travel, seeing where different athletes are from and what they're doing, where is next on your bucket list to travel?
Be going to the States in 2 weeks' time. So that's where I'm gonna be. So I'm excited.
My bucket list. For some reason, I want to go to like Australia or Egypt.
Well, thank you both again for coming on. It's been a great time chatting with you both and great to see you. And hope you guys have a great rest of your summer.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks so much for joining me on this episode of the Passport Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and that you learned something new. If you want more information about the show, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X, which is linked in the show notes. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get the latest pod. And if you feel inclined, please feel free to leave a review so that this podcast reaches more listeners. Thank you for coming on this journey, and I'll speak with you soon.